Okay, welcome back to the 6S program. Why would you pour water on concrete? We're going to talk about it in a few minutes. Why would you pour water on concrete? It has to do a little bit with Napoleon Hill. As you may already know, I'm a die-hard Napoleon Hill man. And Napoleon Hill wrote a book called Think and Grow Rich back in 1937. So it's a pretty old book. It's not a new book necessarily. It's getting there, 80, 90 years old. It's a classic. In my opinion, it's a classic. Why would you omit the wisdom from a classic book that was written in the 1930s? Of course, a lot of it still applies today. I think personally, Napoleon Hill understood psychology a lot better than pretty much anybody today. I think let's say you go to university and get a college degree in psychology. I don't think you necessarily would understand psychology as well as Napoleon Hill did, in my opinion. Napoleon Hill was a genius. He was a pioneer, and he studied directly under Andrew Carnegie. Andrew Carnegie is the reason that the Eads Bridge was built here in St. Louis. I often mention the Eads Bridge. It was the first bridge ever to be built out of steel, and back in those days, 1 in 4 bridges failed. 1 in 4. 25% of bridges failed. So imagine being the driver of that automobile or that buggy driving across the bridge, and you're not even sure anyway. Andrew Carnegie is pretty much the only. It was called the Eads Bridge because it's named after James Eads, who was the architect. But that architect, James Eads, was hired by Andrew Carnegie. Andrew Carnegie is the reason it was actually built. He provided fundings for it. Whether directly or indirectly, I do not recall. Nonetheless, I'm a die-hard Napoleon Hill man, and Napoleon Hill studied Andrew Carnegie's principles and what made him a $100 million man. And it's probably an audacious goal to say I want to become a $100 million man, but hey, I'm following the principles from somebody that actually got it done. Somebody that actually took care of business, and it really has to do with organized effort. A lot of organized effort. He says you can't just put forth effort that's not organized. A lot of people are putting forth effort, but it's not organized effort, so it really doesn't get you anywhere beneficial. Sort of pedaling in a wheel, getting nowhere, like a stationary bike. What's the point if you're not going anywhere? Or a treadmill. Napoleon Hill talks about this principle of autosuggestion, and he says that pretty much, this is my opinion also, that pretty much the whole book hinges around autosuggestion. The whole book hinges around autosuggestion. So why am I pouring water on concrete? Well, it has to do with Napoleon Hill's opinion of what a belief actually is. He says that kind of the subconscious is made up of belief, and that's what it is. Your thoughts arise out of belief, and your subconscious is where belief is organized. And if you want to do anything substantially valuable or substantially difficult, you need the help of other people. You can't really do anything. And I've listened to a lot of Elon Musk videos on YouTube, and he says the same thing. If you're doing anything worthwhile, then it takes a lot more than just yourself. You got to get people to work with you and cooperate in the spirit of harmony. And that's throughout the book. He talks about a spirit of harmony being absolutely essential. But also autosuggestion. In my opinion, the entire book hinges around the principle of autosuggestion, which is only about 3 or 4 or 5 pages. It's the shortest chapter of the whole book, but it sort of seems like the whole book grows out of that one chapter. And so the whole rest of the book could be sort of condensed in that one chapter. Normally if you read a book, you might expect to have the introduction be sort of like a synopsis of the whole book. But in this case, in Think and Grow Rich, the whole synopsis of the whole book is the principle on autosuggestion. And principle on autosuggestion says that the more you apply autosuggestion or self-suggestion, that the more you apply it on a regular basis, your belief becomes crystallized into faith. And so he calls it an emotion of faith. He says that faith is actually an emotion, and that it's the most productive of all emotions. That faith is absolutely the most productive of all emotions. And that faith is something that you acquire, that you develop through autosuggestion. And that through autosuggestion, your belief becomes crystallized into faith. So I've been thinking about crystals, crystallizing, and that's sort of the process that takes place at a subconscious level. I'm crystallizing my belief into faith. And so that's sort of what watering concrete is like for me. So watering concrete, what's that all about? Well, for me, watering concrete, that's what I've decided to call it. He says, you know, in my opinion, in law of attraction is equal in concreteness to laws of gravity. Laws of gravity are laws, they're called a law because nobody so far has proven it wrong. Technically, somebody could prove it wrong tomorrow or the next day, but so far, nobody has proven wrong gravity. And attraction is the same way. The law of attraction is based on the law of vibration, and the law of vibration is based on quantum mechanics. That the fundamental construct of the universe is this non-local energy stuff made up of strings of energy that are vibrating. And everything is in vibration all the time. Everything is in vibration all the time. All is in vibration. And the law of attraction is only possible because all is in vibration. So all is in vibration, and that's why the law of attraction works. But the law of attraction is literally, it's as concrete as concrete. The law of attraction is a law because so far nobody has proven it wrong. That's why it's a law. It's the law of attraction. Nobody so far has proven it wrong. And the law of attraction is something I've been applying through what I call concrete belief. And that's the reason I call it concrete, by the way. That's the why I call it concrete belief, because it's a law. It's a law of the universe, just like gravity, just like electromagnetism, the same thing that makes the light work when you flip a little switch in your house. That's what makes autosuggestion work. Autosuggestion is based on the law of attraction, which once again is based on the law of vibration. So vibration, attraction, and autosuggestion is the way that Napoleon Hill refers to it in his 1937 published book. There's another book published within, I believe, 2 years of that one called The Science of Being. And it goes a lot more in depth into the law of attraction. I won't talk about that here in this video. But sometimes I wonder if perhaps Napoleon Hill had ever been aware of this other author. I think it was Eugene Davis or something like that. Kind of explains where I got the idea of mental transmutation. And of course, sex transmutation is also talked about in Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Sex transmutation basically says life is not about sex, sex is about life. And life is about nurturing activity. Life is not about sex, sex is about life, and life is about nurturing activity. So for me at Stonewheel, that means applying the attitude and mindset of nurturing activity for all of the activities that I take place in my business, whether I'm writing letters all by myself, or whether I'm talking on the phone with the client, or whether I'm in person meeting with the client, performing my walkthrough inspection, etc. I'm thinking of any and all activities from the perspective, from the attitude and mindset of nurturing activity. And this has to do with my concrete belief. I feel like I'm watering on it because as far as Napoleon Hill says, you have to, your subconscious, or your brain, your subconscious, you know, supposedly linked somehow to your brain, right? Subconsciously speaking, this autosuggestion is like watering. It's like a garden. He says your brain is sort of like a garden. And so, maybe you have a garden in your backyard. Maybe you got tomato plants or something. Every day you go out and you water them. And you water your plants, and then eventually they produce a harvest at the end of the season after you've watered them and taken care of them properly. You can't expect anything to happen overnight. It takes time. It's gradual. Napoleon says you couldn't cheat even if you wanted to. You couldn't cheat the law of autosuggestion or the law of attraction or the law of vibration. You can't cheat them because they're laws of the universe. You can't cheat natural law. You can't cheat nature. Nature laughs last. That's an old admonition, right? Nature laughs last. You can't cheat nature. You can't cheat natural law either. But just as you would water a plant or a tree or a bush or a flower, you water it because you're nurturing it. That is the nurturing activity. You're watering the plant. That's nurturing activity for the plant. That's life. You're breathing life into that plant by watering it. And likewise, the same happens through the case of autosuggestion.